So, how'd you like the movie, Chewie? He's a poor man's Chewie.
Welcome, everybody, to a brand new movie review where we talk about Solo, a Star Wars story, and Star Wars is back, baby! Now...
That's your matter of opinion.
Now, we last talked about Star Wars The Last Jedi, which was a real divider for fans.
Let's just say it had a lot of room for improvement.
Now, we're in the summertime now, and we're getting another one of these standalone Star Wars stories. The last standalone, of course, we got was Rogue One, which I was lukewarm on.
It was an okay film. It could have been a lot better.
I was lukewarm on, but with this film, I was really interested to see where they were going to go with it. So, I mean, where do you want to start with this film, sir?
Well, let's give you casting so you know who's in it.
Yes.
We have Emilia Clarke. I don't remember the main actor's name.
Alden Ehrenreich.
Okay.
Who plays Han.
Yes, and we got Woody Harrelson.
Woody Harrelson in this.
What's her name? The lady from Westworld. Thandie Newton.
Thandie Newton's in this as well.
We also got a.k.a. Vision, Paul Bettany
in this. We've also got Childish Gambino himself, Donald Glover.
Oh, Lord. We've got Chewbacca. Chewbacca would kill him in a heartbeat.
So, we've got all this cast here, and basically, to sum it up, this is sort of the early years of Han.
Yes.
This is the early years of Han and the adventures that he's gotten into, people that he's met, experiences that he's dealt with.
The start of the man he becomes.
Absolutely. So, I mean, what did you think, I guess, of the story itself?
The story itself, I mean, it's pretty cut and dry. I mean, it shows you how he became the smuggler he was in episode 4. You know, this is his journey from becoming just a street thief to the smuggler that we all know and love.
Yes.
And how he gets to meet his future partner in crime, Chewbacca.
You're my Chewbacca.
No, you're the Chewbacca. I'm definitely Han Solo.
Doubtful.
You're doubtful.
But, the story, I thought, the story is very simple at times. And I'm not going to lie, because this is a prequel, I never felt really the danger aspect of this film because...
I mean, you already know who's going to survive it.
That's not exactly true.
I mean, out of the main cast. I mean, you know Han's going to survive, you know Chewie's going to survive,
we know that Lando's going to survive. But
anybody else is a question mark.
Everyone else is sort of fair game. But I thought the movie was very interesting as far as, the interactions that he had with people, especially Chewbacca. I felt like, my God, man,
We always wondered, it's like, how these two met, and we get to see that in this film.
How did they meet? How did all that come about? And for me personally, I'm not gonna lie, I really did love the interaction between those two, man. That is one of the, as far as I'm concerned, that is one of the best on-screen dynamics, Han and Chewie, that has ever happened.
Out of all the movies, at least the ones that Chewie hasn't been in.
Yeah.
Chewie's gold. I mean.
Oh God, Chewie's awesome.
He's hilarious.
I have no doubt for Chewie whatsoever. And like I said, the danger aspect's not really there for him at least. But I think overall, I think that the story's pretty solid for what it is.
Yeah.
As far as the acting,
there were some actors I thought could have done a lot better.
Okay, so let's unpack this. I mean, what did you think?
The whole love interest between Emilia Clarke and
Alden Ehrenreich.
Yeah. I didn't feel it in this movie. It felt kind of dull. At points where they're trying to I missed you, they start to kiss, and I didn't feel any real passion between them.
You know what, I'm going to agree with you on this one, because I really didn't feel their connection And I don't know whether it's just the actors themselves or whether it's the script that's not helping them out.
Yeah.
But it just felt like it wasn't... I felt it at moments, but I didn't really feel it as much as I wanted to.
Yeah.
So I will say that.
The other one I could say was... I mean, I thought the one that did the best for me was Woody Harrelson. Woody Harrelson, Jesus.
Woody's great, man. I love Woody a lot. He is a consummate professional. He's a great actor, and he does a great job.
He's got that kind of old outlaw type look to him, even when he's not acting.
Even when he's not acting, he's great. And again, he plays sort of this smuggler character who's sort of
a mentor
to Han in some ways. Yes, and I thought that worked out perfectly. And I got to admit, I know that it's the big sort of elephant in the room to a certain extent, but I thought Alden Ehrenreich as Han, I thought he did okay. I thought he did. That's just me, man. I thought he did all right.
I thought he was okay, but I thought he could have been better. I mean, it's kind of hard to pass the torch from Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford, he made that character.
You're right. Harrison Ford made that character, and to me, nobody's gonna replace Harrison Ford as that. I don't care how many films this guy's gonna be in as Han Solo, if he's gonna be in more. But my thought about it is, like, I thought he did a pretty great job for what he had as Han in the early years. And as far as I was also concerned, before I even went into the movie, I thought, oh man, this guy's not gonna be good. And consider me surprised. Maybe it was because I had low expectations for him, but I thought he surpassed him.
I mean, when you first heard about this movie and they heard that they were doing reshoots and all that type of stuff, I was like super worried about this film, and it really is like, oh man, if they're doing all that, it kind of is like, this movie's gonna be a question mark.
The movie's directed by Ron Howard, and Ron Howard is an amazing director. He's directed so many wonderful movies, but he wasn't the original director. The original directors were Lord and Miller, and of course they did 21 and 22 Jump Street, the Lego Movie, and they're really great directors in their own right. And they were supposed to direct this movie, and basically what happened is basically they're filming. Lucasfilm didn't like what they were doing, what they were making. They weren't following the script, a whole lot of stuff, and basically they just cut them loose. And again, I don't know how far that is as a true story exactly, but I don't know exactly the truth behind everything. I would have still liked to have seen what their vision was going to be for the film. Here, I do feel like in some ways they're playing it safe, but it still feels Star Wars to me. I mean, it still feels like it's Star Wars. They're still in that same sandbox.
Well,
that's what I feel
have
like.
To say, to counteract that, for me, it's just like when we saw Rogue One. I felt like it had a hint of Star Wars, like a little tiny, like, teaspoon of Star Wars.
Okay.
It didn't feel like a full Star Wars movie for me. Mainly, I have to say the main reason why is because, you've always had Jedi and stuff and the Sith and all that stuff in it. And I mean, even though Last Jedi wasn't a great movie, you still had very large amounts of that, even though it's in like a newer version.
Sure, I do agree with that. And I will say this much, with Rogue One, the interesting thing about Rogue One is everybody always wanted to know, how did they get the plans of the Death Star, exactly. With this film, I don't think anyone was ever really screaming for a Han Solo film. I don't think anybody was.
I mean, we were even talking about this before we saw the movie. It was like, we were more interested to see, I mean, we found out that they're going to make the Boba Fett.
Yeah, they're gonna make a Boba Fett movie.
I was like, if anything, if I was gonna see a prequel film other than Han Solo and that one, and then the Obi-Wan one, it would have to be, for me, it'd be Yoda. I mean, Yoda has almost 1,000 years to cover.
Yoda has so much movie to unpack if you did one for him. Like I said, Han Solo is not one that you immediately come to mind for a solo one. I thought the movie did sort of was pretty decent for what I thought it was going to be, which I thought wasn't going to be that good anyways.
I mean, you get three main facts out of this movie. You get to see how he meets Chewie.
Okay.
You get to see how he meets Chewbacca. I already said that. You get to see how he meets Chewbacca, how he becomes a smuggler, and how he gets the Millennium Falcon.
Yes. And all those things are sort of hinted at in things like The Empire Strikes Back, New Hope, stuff like that. What I will also say is this, that there's certain moments in the film that I was a little bit sort of lightly let down by. Things like, again, I won't really get into it too much as far as spoilers, but like things like the Kessel Run.
Yeah, that was such a big thing in the old movies, and then, like, now that they did it, it felt like it was kind of dull.
It felt a little bit dull. It felt a little bit lackluster. The problem is, and this is with some things, and I feel like with prequels, it's really hard to do it, and Han Solo's no different. It's just that you hear about something in A New Hope or Empire Strikes Back or something, and you think to yourself, oh my god, this is such a momentous, huge moment. We really want to know what it is. And when you finally find out, or they get the prequel to really sort of show it, it doesn't really live up to expectations a little bit.
Well, that, and it's like a lot of it was kind of predictable for me in this movie. I'm like, you knew there was going to be some kind of double cross later on in the film, which you saw.
Yeah.
You kind of figured that, like, one character you thought was like, oh, they're going to be the good guy. No, wait, they're just still doing the bad thing, even though they just helped do a good thing.
Yeah, this is true also. I mean, it's got a lot of predictability to it, and the movie does in a lot of ways feel safe. Is that a bad thing? Maybe not necessarily. You
figured they'd want to take risks.
Yes, and maybe they wanted to play it safe because, look, The Last Jedi really didn't play it safe. Really took a lot of risks.
Oh, they went overboard on the rest. I mean, they could have done at least one or two big risks on this film.
I mean, maybe, but I think they wanted to kind of play it a little more on the safe side. I will say this much: we didn't bring up, how he did as an acting wise. I thought that Donald Glover did pretty good in the role of Lando.
Oh, we're gonna have to agree to disagree.
Okay, this is another disagreement that we have. Okay.
When I saw the original Lando, the guy had flair. He had personality.
Had that like Colt 45.
I mean, I will knock Donald Glover. I mean, he talked to Billy D for the original.
Yeah, he did.
To get a feel of how he should portray Lando as a younger version of himself. I mean, I won't knock it to the actor. It's just I felt like Lando had very little to do in this film. You figure he had a slightly bigger part than he was supposed to. I mean, not a smidge more, maybe like 2% more than what he had in this film.
Well, look, I was okay with the amount that he had in it. I felt certain things were, and it wasn't just with Lando, but it was with a lot of other things. It felt they were very quick on things.
Some stuff was just pretty damn weird.
Well, what do you mean by weird?
Like his companion in this movie, he has a droid. There's some, I won't say, there's some inappropriate stuff that you're like, what's some of the stuff they were suggesting in this movie? I'm like,
yeah, it was a little bit like, ooh,
a little out there.
A little out there. I will say this: the movie feels at times very quick, like they are kind of just going through the motions.
It was more like you're just like this through some time of the film. And just, at the time, I felt like I was just like, it's like this. Are we getting to the next part and next part and next part?
I mean, there were certain moments where they wanted the emotion, and I felt that there wasn't enough payoff to get to that emotion. Yeah. Or certain things that they were really quick to do.
Some stuff felt very cut and dry.
Very cut and dry, but like I said, things like the Lando stuff, whether it's like too much or too little, I thought that stuff was just good enough. You kind of get a feel for it, and maybe they might develop this into another film, maybe?
Oh, Lord.
Would you kind of want another Han Solo film, I guess, or would you not?
I mean, I can't say it because it'll be a spoiler, but there's one scene near the end of this film that leads up for a pretty big another film.
Yes, it does.
I mean, I don't think it was as much gasp as when we saw Infinity Wars, but it was still a little bit of a shocker.
It was still a bit of a shocker, and trust me, everyone in the theater was looking at everybody else. So,
huh?
Yeah, so trust me, it wasn't just us.
Can't be that one.
No.
That one's been gone a while.
No.
I mean, if you're gonna go anywhere for next film, I'm sorry to say, even before I even say this part, I'm like, Han is maybe one main job. Now he's like, oh, I'm a smuggler now. You know, I'm like, I'm a pro. I can do this now. I'm like, I would have liked to seen him do a couple more jobs before this, before he becomes a smuggler.
You know what? I do agree with that, and I think that's more of like him growing into it, and maybe that's another film. I will say this, as far as the action is concerned, the action,
I think Chewbacca did a good chunk of it.
Oh, great job! That I loved all the action that.
Don't piss off a Wookiee, that's for sure.
Of course, the one truth that we now know about Wookiees.
Don't piss off a Wookiee because they'll rip your arms off.
Damn right. And
I mean, I would say there was one funny scene where you see a couple more of his kind in there. There was one that looked like, he didn't even look like a Wookiee. He looked like he had like a little bit of a lion face.
Yeah,
or something.
Really weird looking.
Unless it's like the preteen Wookiee or something, or if that was a female Wookiee, they look damn ugly.
I will also say this. I think with the action, I think the action is pretty cool. I think it's really dynamic. Yeah. I think a lot of times, though, again, we don't spend a lot of time with the characters. We get a lot more action than we do the characters itself.
Some characters thought, what was the point of having them in there? I understand.
Yes.
Like in the beginning where you see
what?
The Woody Harrelson's crew. You get his crew, but you don't get him for super long in the film. I mean, what was the point of them?
And then there's the whole idea of like there's a story about rebellion, and I don't know if I really needed that in the film. And there's certain moments in the film.
I felt like you got that part in the earlier part where you see Han later after near the beginning.
Yeah, I don't think you really needed some of that stuff. I think this film has moments that really work and really felt like it was firing on all cylinders, and moments where you kind of wonder, why did they do this? And what was the point?
There were some scenes that you see in this film, like a giant action scene or a giant space battle or something. Like, for one, some of them were just like too foggy, you couldn't really see what was going on. Everything was like all faded out.
Okay.
There's remember the scene in the beginning where after he joins the thing, and he's fighting in that battle. It's like, you can't. I understand it's a battle. It's gonna be smoke and stuff everywhere, but you couldn't really see who were they even fighting at that point. I mean, it was so everything was so thick you couldn't even see who was like 2 feet ahead of you.
It is. Some of the action is better than other parts of action. I will say that much. And look, at the end of the day, do I think this film is worth it? Do I think this film needed to be made? No, I don't think it needed to be made. I think you could have went without a Han Solo film, and I think we would have all been okay with it.
I think they just did. It's like, oh, it's another Star Wars movie. Let's cash in on that.
It's possible. I mean, as I said, I think that these Solo films themselves, I think they're interesting ideas to do, like the Rogue Ones, like this. Do we ultimately need them? No, but maybe they're kind of nice little
side
stories for the Star Wars universe that is a pretty vast universe.
I mean, if it was more like one of those like Marvel short films that you always see, like, oh, this is how you get to A to B.
Sure.
It's like I could have worked with that for this, but I mean, like, you don't need. If you're gonna do anything, do like a TV special for these. I mean, you don't really. If the movies aren't gonna like succeed or whatever, or you just don't really need them, just do it as like a side like mini movie thing, like they did in the back of the old days.
Let me ask you this, and of course it's just very early now, and but if you had to sort of maybe give this movie a ranking with the other films, I mean,
with what, like the prequel films,
with all of them, I mean, would you go low? Would you go high? I mean, where would you go? I'm sorry to say,
but like, it's hard to compare. I mean, like, the old school movies are always going to be in the top best.
Okay, sure. Absolutely.
I mean, I did like Force Awakens. It'd probably be my next one in that list. I can't give you the top three.
Okay.
But the next one would be Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Next one after that, that's tough. It would probably have to be, I know Revenge of the Sith would probably be the next one on that list, because that was a pretty damn good film.
Okay. I mean, just if it's low, it's low. I
It would
understand.
probably be at the bottom out of all the movies. Bottom
Okay.
three, or like the bottom three. I
Sure.
couldn't compare. I mean, people are gonna hate me for saying this. I did probably have to say I like Last Jedi a lot better than this.
Okay, well,
People are gonna hate me for saying that, but
send in the hate comments, folks. But
feel the power of hate.
but
I shoot Sith electricity out of my hands.
yeah, you wish.
I do wish.
But regardless, what are your final thoughts and grade rating on this film, man?
Well, like you said, like some characters could have been in there a lot. I mean, there was almost like no point. Some of them were only in there like 5 minutes tops.
Yeah.
I mean, that could have been. I mean, the acting was okay in this film. Like the top ones I have to give is Chewbacca, of course, and Woody Harrelson. Those guys nailed it. We didn't even talk about Emilia Clarke, but I felt like her character had very little to no point to have in this film. They could have kept her for a part 2 of this series.
Yeah, they could have.
I mean, I think they did rush the whole thing with Han becoming a smuggler.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand they have to get the movie pacing going, but it's like you figure if he's going to be a smuggler, it needs to be more than one job. You know, you're not a professional smuggler after one job. I don't care how high top it is.
That's right.
Good points I'd have to say is we get, like I said earlier, how he meets Chewbacca, how he gets the Falcon. I forget what the other one was earlier, but negative points I'd have to give you. Not to knock the actor, I thought the portrayal of Lando could have been a lot better.
Okay.
I mean, I'm
So
sorry to
what's
say,
your-
but it's hard to beat Billy D when he did that role.
All right.
Like, same with Harrison Ford. You can't beat Harrison Ford as Han Solo.
Okay, so what's your grade, man?
Going over everything, we could have been a lot better. I'm gonna give it a very, very, very low. This is like borderline. It's gonna be between a C- and a D. It's like borderline. almost.
Woo! Wow.
I have to
Wow,
be. I have to
holy
be
shit.
fair. I have to say my
Oh
opinion.
my god. No, yeah, you're doing that, and I'm not gonna fault you. For me personally, look, I think that Alden Ehrenreich did a pretty damn decent job in this movie. I think so, at least. Wasn't expecting much from him. I got far more than I was expecting. Woody Harrelson, great. Of course, the character of Chewbacca is good as always. Donald Glover, he was decent. Emilia Clarke, wasn't feeling much about her. Action scenes, okay. The story, it's alright. I think these movies, again, they're not necessary and they don't have to be made, but I think this was a nice filler movie for what it was. It's a mixed bag of a movie. There's good moments, there's bad moments. There's moments where you wonder why they did it. There's moments where you're glad that they did certain things. It's gonna be, for me, it's gonna be a higher grade rating, and I'm gonna give it probably a low B minus, almost a C plus, but a low B minus. Sorry,
You are not a Star Wars fan.
I'm a Star. Hey, Star Wars. Hey, Star Wars.
He does not befit to wear Star Wars. Look, you know, blaster first, because you know who shot first.
All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the review. If you did, definitely give it a thumbs up. And we will be back maybe in about a week or two time to do a spoiler discussion on this film to let you guys know what we thought. All spoiler filled. In the meantime, let us know what you think in the comment section, and we will be back next time for a brand new movie review.
I'm gonna take you to Tatooine and sell you to Jabba.
I don't want to be a sex slave, for Christ's sake.
Oh God. You wouldn't. Don't worry, Jabba will definitely give you the tongue.
Okay. Take care, guys. Oof.